Hi everyone, my name's Lena. I wanted to do a Leave No Trace lesson on principle number 2, which is traveling on durable surfaces. Part of the reason I wanted to do this was I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area in Berkeley, and I've noticed a lot more people going out to the regional parks and trails around here. And a lot of those people maybe haven't gone hiking a lot before. They're going out because of the pandemic. They want to get outside. And so I've seen a lot of people cutting switchbacks and going off trail, which doing that results in erosion and extra crowding in areas that could be harmful to native vegetation, things like that. So I just want to do a quick lesson on why and how to stay on durable surfaces when you're hiking outside. And especially, like, these aren't necessarily wilderness areas, but there's still natural areas that we need to protect and still follow Leave No Trace principles. Yeah, I wanted to highlight at some regional parks in my area that may seem already degraded or not the most pristine wilderness, but it's still super important because we need to keep these places really clean and protect them for everyone to enjoy, especially in times like these when everyone deserves to get outside and have a nice place to go. I'm going to cover what a durable surface is, how to stay on them, and how to interact with people with strangers that you might not feel comfortable talking to in order to make sure to follow Leave No Trace principles and not degrade our natural areas. Hi everyone, so I'm here at Point Isabel Regional Park in Richmond, California. You can see the bay and the Golden Gate Bridge in the background, and I wanted to talk about durable surfaces and traveling on durable surfaces, Leave No Trace principle number 2. So this is a really urban park. There's a Costco and the mail depot over there. It's actually, it was a landfill, and it was cleaned up from the toxic heavy metals and made into a park where people can take their dogs off leash. And it may not seem like the most pristine wilderness area, but I still think it's super important to follow Leave No Trace principles. There's a lot of people coming out to these regional parks, especially nowadays, that we are all stuck in our local area. And it's important to still be respectful and not cause undue impacts on the parks that we're visiting. As you can see here, it's mostly wide paths. There's even some paved paths, some gravel. There's some grassy areas and areas with plants too over on the other side of this canal, and it is an area where dogs are allowed off leash, and so it's more impacted than other areas could be, but it's important that dogs are allowed off leash some places, and the principles of staying on durable surfaces are still important, because then you get all these bare areas like under those trees over there that are super impacted, and then you just have bare dirt, and if all this was bare dirt, that wouldn't be too great. So I think it's still important to stay on trail for the most part. You know, dogs are running around the grass, and grass is pretty durable. Let me just tell you the difference between durable and non-durable surfaces. So this asphalt is definitely a durable surface. So is the gravel and the rocks. Dry grass can even be durable, like over here. It's anything that doesn't get destroyed when you step on it, or if lots of people step on it. So here we got some gravel, asphalt, and some non-durable surfaces right here, like the green grass I probably would avoid more than the dry grass. And over on the other side you can see there's some wetlands being restored. It's a little bit hard to see, but you wouldn't want to step on that. That is not a durable surface. And same with all the vegetation over there. That's not just durable grass. And like I said before, a lot of times, especially now, people are trying to stay far apart from each other. So you'll be on a narrow trail, maybe up in the hills. You can kind of see in the distance where there's poison oak on the trails. Maybe you don't want to step off the trail. So it's important to just talk to people nicely and say, you know, excuse me, can I pass you a safe distance? Or, oh, I'll back up a little bit and let you pass. So that you don't have to like go scrambling off trail just to avoid people. And it's also just super important to be nice and to not be confrontational. If someone doesn't do exactly what you think is right, it's important to just be nice to them and to explain how you see the situation and why you're doing what you're doing, and not get angry for them doing the quote-unquote wrong thing because maybe they don't know. And there's another thing that I wanted to say about walking on trails, which is that oftentimes the center of the trail can be really wet. Like you can have a puddle, some standing water, And a lot of times people will hike up and around that water to avoid getting their feet wet. And that'll create many ruts on the side of the trail, killing that vegetation. And that impact is super hard to restore. That takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of parks don't have funding for that. And so it's just super important to stay in the trail, even if it's wet. You know, your roots will dry, but those plants might not grow back. So that's super important. And this isn't a perfect example of this, but basically you want to stay on the trail. You don't want to be going around and creating little side trails, little social trails on the side, trampling all the vegetation, especially in a wilderness area, a more protected area. So it's really important to go straight through the puddle, even if it means getting your feet wet. Or lying down in it, because that'll just prevent a lot of trails from going. If everybody walks on the side of the trail, you're gonna get a lot of And the principles that I'm talking about here, they still apply to all natural areas that you might visit, including wilderness areas, especially wilderness areas. And as you can see up over to the east, there's the hills, so that's Tilden Park, Wildcat Canyon, a lot of really beautiful local parks that are super highly visited, super heavily impacted, and that makes it even more important to follow Leave No Trace principles, which most people might not think of when they're just going for a day hike or an afternoon walk rather than going backpacking. Just wanted to highlight the importance of that given the current situation and the heavy use that all these areas are experiencing. So being respectful of others is super important, especially now when we all want to get outside and not go crazy being stuck in our houses all day. Since we're all constrained to staying near home, it's important to apply these principles to places like your local parks that you might not think of as wilderness. And yeah, we're just really lucky to have these parks, and so I just wanted to highlight one really easy, simple thing that we can all do just to maintain these areas for everyone. And especially now that we're trying to stay distant from people, it's really easy to trample some vegetation off trail when you're trying to give someone 6 feet distance in a narrow area. And there are ways we can avoid this, like stepping aside on an area that's a durable surface. Maybe we have to walk a couple feet backwards to give someone some space, you know, pulling your mask on and turning the other way so maybe you can avoid stepping on some delicate plants. Yeah, I hope I gave some motivation to just think about these things, even when we're in crowded urban areas, but especially when we're going to wilderness areas and more areas that are more delicate. And an area just seems more crowded if everyone's crowding switchbacks, if you can see social trails forming, places that once looked pristine, like a meadow or something like that, and you see all these footsteps and all these traces of people when you went out into nature to get away from that. And or you see patches of dirt where maybe there shouldn't be because there are too many people walking. So, like, you know, going down, let's say you're camping and you're going down to a river source and you just go the same trail over and over again, and suddenly you start to see a trail form, and it no longer looks as pristine as it did, and you might be creating undue impacts on vegetation, on wildlife, on the water quality. And yeah, so overall it's just super important to stay on durable surfaces, minimize our impact since there's so many of us going out there. And yeah, just I hope that this helped you guys understand more about how to do that and feel better about doing it in the future. Thank you so much.